In Colombia, electoral authorities have made preliminary results public, declaring Senator Iván Cepeda as the winner of Sunday's primaries for the historical pact. The government of Barbados denounced the frequent threats by the United States to peace in the Caribbean region. And in the context of the 47th ASEAN Summit, the Brazilian government offered to mediate in dialogue between Venezuela and the United States. Hello and welcome to From the South. My name is Belén de los Santos. I'm from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We'll begin with the news. We begin with the information. In Colombia, electoral authorities have made preliminary results public, declaring Senator Iván Cepeda as the winner of Sunday's primaries for the historic pact. With 64.02% of the votes and a 34-point lead over Diana Corcho, Senator Iván Cepeda Castro has emerged as the historic pact candidate for the 2026 general election. Senator Cepeda, age 63, has stood up and out for having facilitated the peace process between the Colombian government and the FARC-EP guerrillas, the dialogues with the National Liberation Army, the ELN, and the process of bringing the Gulf clan to justice. The Historic Pact Party is a coalition made up of the Democratic Pole, the Patriotic Union, Colombia's Communist Party, and other political forces. And let's learn more about this newly elected presidential candidate. Iván Cepeda Castro is 63, politician and philosopher. He began his political career in the legislative branch in 2010 when he was elected to the House of Representatives. His work has focused on two main areas: peace building and the debate on political control. From 2012 to 2016, he acted as a facilitator in the peace process between the national government and the FARC-EP, which culminated in the signing of the final agreement. As a senator, a position he has held since 2014, he waged a political and legal battle against former President Álvaro Uribe, being his main accuser. He accused Uribe of having links with paramilitary groups and of being behind corruption and espionage scandals. His persistence was key to Uribe facing judicial proceedings for the first time. And in Argentina, first results are officially in after the midterm legislative elections that is set to renew members of both chambers of the Congress. The official results are showing a lead for the ruling Liberty Advances coalition, and also in the province of Buenos Aires, the patriotic force Fuerza Patria has been left in second place after having won in the provincial legislative elections just over a month ago. In this case, the candidate of the opposition Peronist force, Jorge Tayana, obtained the 40.83% of the votes in the province of Buenos Aires and is second place to Diego Santilli from the official ruling coalition Liberty Advances. And in Chile, dozens of cyclists have taken to the streets demanding social justice. The cycling revolution movement kicked off a massive bike ride in the city of Santiago de Chile, carrying banners calling for no more dead cyclists in support of the environment and calling for a better future. The participants also expressed other demands like the right to education, healthcare, and decent housing. The cyclists believe this will be the most epic march of the year, for it covered dozens of kilometers. And Venezuela reaffirmed the success of its fight against drug trafficking during the Bolivarian militia exercises held in Caracas as part of the Independence 200's coast defense. The operation included military deployments in key coastal areas with the aim of strengthening their protection and ensuring national independence. Venezuelan Defense Minister Padrino Lopez specified that maneuvers have been carried out on the islands of Patos and Orchila with successful results in the training of units. He also highlighted the country's achievements and reiterated that Venezuela is free of drug trafficking.
This coast exercise is not only about watching the Caribbean Sea and the military threat, but also about checking all the drug trafficking routes to stop and fight them head-on. Venezuela has definitely been successful in the fight against drug trafficking because it has a state policy about it. It is difficult when governments or the elites that intend to rule countries associate themselves with the drug trafficking. That makes the fight very difficult. Here in Venezuela, it is much more simple because we are united in our objectives across the nation. We don't want absolutely anything to do with drug trafficking, nor with its production, nor with its cultivation, nor its processing, nor with its trafficking, nor with its distribution. Absolutely nothing. There are no cartels here.
And the Western Strategic Integral Defense Region of the Bolivarian National Armed Forces condemned Leopoldo López's call for a U.S. military invasion of Venezuela.
The members of the Bolivarian Armed Forces belonging to the Strategic Region of Integral Defense No. 1 of the Western Region, in perfect popular military-police fusion in these lands, the Bolivarian state of Falcon, where the forefather of American independence first used our flag of struggle, the Mirandina flag, the same one that crossed the mountains, valleys, and plains, waved by our heroes to bring freedom, independence, and sovereignty to the peoples of America. From here, we wish to express our most categorical and forceful words of rejection of the statements made by a criminal fugitive from Venezuelan justice, a cowardly and despicable being belonging to the fascist far right, in which he called for a military attack on our sacred soil and on citizen Nicolas Maduro, who is the constitutional president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, our commander-in-chief.
Now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. We continue with more information. Venezuela denounced a military provocation by Trinidad and Tobago in coordination with the CIA to provoke a war in the Caribbean. In an official statement, the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela denounced the dangerous military exercises carried out by the government of Trinidad and Tobago between the 26th and the 30th of this month under the coordination, the financing, and control of the U.S. Southern Command, according to a statement, an action that constitutes a hostile provocation against Venezuela and a serious threat to peace in the Caribbean. In this communique, Venezuela is reporting that it has captured a group of mercenaries with direct information from the U.S. intelligence agency, the CIA, enabling it to determine that a false flag attack is underway from waters bordering Trinidad and Tobago or from Trinidadian or Venezuelan territory itself, which will generate a full-scale military confrontation against our country. In this context, Venezuela is denouncing that the government of Prime Minister Kamla Persad Cesar is surrounding Trinidad and Tobago's sovereignty, by bowing to Washington's militaristic agenda, not only seeking to attack Venezuela, but also violating the United Nations Charter, the proclamation of Latin America and the Caribbean as a zone of peace, approved by SELAC, and the principles of CARICOM, which protect all the peoples of the Caribbean. In the statement, it continues by saying that Venezuela declared that these are not defensive exercises, but a colonial operation of military aggression that seeks to turn the Caribbean into a space for lethal violence and U.S. imperial domination, adding that this is hurting its own people, innocent fishermen who have been victims of extrajudicial executions in the Caribbean Sea. In this context, Venezuela vows to remain on alert and mobilize, stating it does not accept threats from any government that is a vassal of the United States. And in Barbados, Prime Minister Mia Mottley denounced the rising threat of the United States military deployment in the Caribbean. Our correspondent Crystal Hoyt has the details.
The arrival of the USS Gravely at Trinidad and Tobago's port this morning has heightened concerns across the Caribbean, with Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley warning against what she called menacing military vessels in regional waters. Speaking at the Barbados Labour Party's 86th annual conference on Saturday night, Prime Minister Mottley called for urgent dialogue to prevent the situation from escalating into conflict.
If ever we needed a reminder of how unstable and how dangerous this world that we live in is, and how vulnerable our Caribbean region is, it is now with us, facing a multiplicity of threats. We don't need to look any further than the menacing vessels, military vessels from the United States across the Caribbean Sea, including what is reputed to be the world's largest warship. The violent actions that this buildup has led to needs to be the subject of dialogue. And I have said before, almost every war in the world in history has been ended by dialogue. So let us have dialogue to stop the war rather than to prevent the war from starting, rather than to stop it when it has started.
The USS Gravely's deployment follows weeks of increasing U.S. naval movements in the region. Mottley cautioned against conflating law enforcement operations with military action, describing such steps as dangerous, and said no Caribbean nation should be subjected to unilateral use of force. Her remarks come as the region also faces another major threat, Hurricane Melissa, which is bearing down on the northern Caribbean. Mottley expressed solidarity with Jamaica and other nations in the storm's path, calling this moment a multiplicity of threats for small island states. Crystal Hoyt, teleSUR, Barbados.
We have a second short break coming up now, but before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverages, and much more. Follow the page and activate notifications to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. We continue with more information. In the context of the 47th Summit of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, the Brazilian government offered to mediate between Venezuela and the United States in order to achieve a peaceful solution that would benefit both parties. According to statements from Brazilian Foreign Minister Mauro Vieira, in a bilateral meeting, the president of Brazil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, and the United States, Donald Trump, laid the groundwork for unblocking a complex trade agenda and advance Brazil's regional stance, which includes an offer of mediation to soften U.S. hostilities towards Venezuela. Trump's response, according to the foreign minister, was positive as he declared the U.S. president pledged to instruct his team to begin a period of bilateral negotiation with the goal of resolving the points of contention shortly. And Chinese and U.S. delegations have reached a preliminary agreement ahead of the Xi and Trump Malaysia summit. On Sunday, China's Foreign Trade Minister Li Xianggang said that both sides had addressed mutual concerns, which translated into the signing of a preliminary agreement. Li said that the next step would be for the proposals to be verified and for both sides to comply with the respective internal approvals procedures. The preliminary agreement would allow the two presidents to focus on the meeting to be held in South Korea, which is decisive for bilateral relations. And in Spain, thousands of women took to the streets of Sevilla to protest against failures in the breast cancer screening system. The irregularities, which include delays in testing, modified reports, and lack of communication with patients, have sparked a wave of public outrage and the call for a large march by the Association of Women with Breast Cancer, AMAMA. According to the organization, numerous medical records have been altered, replacing terms such as suspicious or inconclusive with probably benign, which would have prevented many women from receiving the necessary medical follow-ups. In this regard, the regional government of Andalusia recognized that at least 2,317 women in the region have been affected by errors in the follow-up of their mammograms.
We came to protest about the problem that has arisen with the women of AMAMA and well, with all women in general, because we are all affected by the problem of screening, and so we came to show our full support for this, and also because this is a healthcare issue, in that they are investing a lot in the private sector and the public system is being ruined, so we came to change that completely. That has to change. We have the right to fair healthcare, to information, and just as we have a right and duties as citizens, we also have to have good healthcare, I believe, because the truth is that it's not fair that we only pay and get nothing in return. This is not a game, it is our health.
And we go now to the situation in the Middle East. The Euromed Human Rights Monitor warned that Israel's continued refusal to allow international journalists, correspondents, and forensic teams into Gaza constitutes a systematic policy to erase evidence of genocide. In a statement released on Saturday, the group said that Israel enforces this policy through both field and administrative restrictions, preventing reporters and investigation committees from entering the territory. Euromed argues that by blocking access, Israel aims to impose a complete media blackout, concealing the true scale of destruction and civilian suffering. The organization is urging the United Nations and the international community to ensure immediate, independent access for journalists and forensic experts, this before critical physical and biological evidence is completely lost. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For teleSUR English, my name is Beren de los Santos. Thank you for watching.